it is only now that details of this meeting have come to light. And of course, Charlie Elphicke was later convicted on 3 counts of sexual assault, jailed, but nevertheless received the ongoing support of Natalie Elphicke, who at every juncture helped trash his alleged victims, who she said were the perpetrators of dirty politics. And she said that her now ex-husband, who she says she has now split up with, was punished for being attractive and attracted to women.
Morning at 7:37 on Sunday morning. Now, how wise was it really for Sir Keir Starmer to bring Natalie Elphicke over to the Labour Party? Well, the question is continuing this morning as the Sunday Times reports an accusation that the former Conservative MP lobbied the Lord Chancellor to interfere in her then husband's trial for sex offences. The Sunday Times Whitehall editor Gabriel Pogrund has that exclusive on the front page of the Sunday Times, and he joins us now. Morning, Gabriel.
Morning.
Good to speak to you. So Natalie Elphicke's proximity to her husband at the time of his trial, and I suppose the role that she took on really in defending him as the allegations were reported and the trial proceeded, are clearly one part of the story here. But you are reporting further suggestions of, well, attempt at interference. Just bring us up to date.
That's right. I mean, let's just briefly zoom out and examine the wider context, which is that by the time of Charlie Elphicke's criminal trial, he had stood down as the MP for Dover and been succeeded after a behind closed doors contest by his own wife, Natalie. Natalie Elphicke had been his most steadfast supporter when allegations first emerged against him in 2017, claiming he'd been the victim of injustice heaped upon injustice and thrown to the wolves. And she was part of what we later called a parliamentary protection racket, which at every stage of the judicial process sought to confer beneficial treatment upon Charlie Elphicke. And what we've learned today is that on the eve of his trial in June 2020, Natalie Elphicke contacted Robert Buckland, the Lord Chancellor and Justice Secretary, who's essentially the member of the cabinet responsible for upholding the rule of law, and indeed for upholding the constitutional doctrine of the separation of powers. That's not to be too high-minded on a Sunday morning, but that is the foundational idea that the principal arms of the state, so the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary, don't interfere in each other's affairs. But she went to him and she said she wanted Buckland to intervene in the case because she felt, according to sources who were in the room, that it was unfair that it was being held at a high-profile court, Southwark Crown Court, after COVID, the first case to be heard there after lockdown. And furthermore, she felt that the judge, very senior judge, Lady Justice Whipple, would throw the book at him. So according to Robert Buckland, who's actually gone on the record to confirm this account, he was dismayed by what she said and immediately said it could go no further. And it is only now that details of this meeting have come to light. And of course, Charlie Elphicke was later convicted on 3 counts of sexual assault, jailed, but nevertheless received the ongoing support of Natalie Elphicke, who at every juncture helped trash his alleged victims, who she said were the perpetrators of dirty politics. And she said that her now ex-husband, who she says she has now split up with, was punished for being attractive and attracted to women.
Natalie Elphicke's response to this, and indeed the Labour Party's response to these latest revelations. I mean, Labour are questioning why the suggestions are only being made now that she's become a Labour MP of her contact with Robert Buckland. I just wonder if that stands up as any sort of defence, really, to sort of question the timing of it. What's your take on that?
Look, I'd say that in general, it is a really vivid illustration, this story, of the self-interest of politics on both sides. I mean, I've tweeted something to this effect, but spare a thought for Charlie Elphicke's rape victim. I wanted to introduce just a small piece of context, which is that in 2018, the Sunday Times revealed that Elphicke had been accused of rape by a woman whose claims were not pursued by detectives, and he sued us before, during, and after his time behind bars, and did so unsuccessfully. He withdrew all of his claims. But nevertheless, I was thinking of his alleged victim, who I've been in touch with over the weekend, because for years she received the love and support of members of the Parliamentary Labour Party, and was essentially at best ignored and at worst uh, gaslit by the Tory party, which readmitted Charlie Elphicke on the eve of a confidence vote into Theresa May's premiership. And then out of nowhere, the parties perform this weird waltz where they adopt the other's stance. Now the Tory party is outraged and gasping with incredulity at the Elphicke's behaviour. And the Labour Party is totally disinterested and doesn't want to know about allegations against her, because they made the assessment that it serves their political interests to have her on their benches. So it is a miserable indictment of politics, and it is, I have to say, it is just as ridiculous to see the Labour Party claiming they have no interest in the transgressions of Charlie and Natalie Elphicke as it is to see the Tory party saying that they're suddenly very concerned.
Yeah. It's a good point, actually, the self-interest of politicians on both sides. In terms of the bandwidth, I suppose, that this defection is taking up for the Labour Party, in terms of defending Natalie Elphicke, justifying the defection, etc., how problematic is that in and of itself as sort of expenditure, if you like, of political capital? Is that now sort of going away, do you think, for Sir Keir Starmer? Do you think this will continue? The questions are swirling today. I'm just trying to understand the strategy here.
Look, I'll break with habit and be humble about my own insight on the world on this occasion. I've not gotten into the heads of the people in Sir Keir Starmer's team in terms of what they believe the level of scrutiny was, forgive me, what they believe the level of scrutiny would be. I can't say that I've got proof in a WhatsApp or based on a readout of a meeting that they definitely thought that there wouldn't be as much blowback as there's been, or actually fully expected it. One thing that they are nevertheless very forthright on is their expectation that this will ultimately play well, that essentially the cut through, the thing that the public will hear about is that somebody is hitting Rishi Sunak where it hurts on migration, one of his own MPs defecting to Labour. The fact that she is as right-wing as she is and as uncompromising on immigration as she is not an issue for Labour Party. On the contrary, they regard it as being, the fundamental strength of this is a political manoeuvre that even somebody who was a champion of the Rwanda scheme now says that the Labour Party is, the custodian of border security. So I don't know if they nevertheless foresaw how bad and big it would be. I was a bit surprised when I heard after Prime Minister's questions that a Labour spokesman had claimed that she had no skeletons in her closet. I mean, I think that hypothesis is already being tested this morning.
Absolutely true. Gabriel, thank you very much. Great to speak to you. Thanks for joining us. Gabriel Pogrund is the Sunday Times Whitehall editor. His exclusive stories on the front page of the Sunday Times, as questions continue about the wisdom or otherwise of accepting Natalie Elphicke's defection on the part of the Labour Party. Yes, lots to consider on that this morning.